Yo, Natsu here, back again for part 3 of what if Deku completed God's challenge, God's trial. In the last part, it was nearly 2 days after Deku got fully healed. They went back to class to basically be told that, you have a week off to go train. Then being told by Aizawa to not train when talking to Deku, and telling Deku that All Might actually wanted to talk to him. With a few people thinking, well, obviously it's thank him, because without him a lot of things could have gone wrong before he was able to arrive. But then, basically, after Deku leaves, Aizawa basically tells his class that, also, we're going to the auditorium, I think that's what they call it, basically to get an announcement. So, it has nothing to do with Deku, it's basically something else, so I won't really talk about it, for now. But, yeah. Deku basically goes to talk with All Might. And Deku, when he gets to meet All Might, basically just sees All Might kind of puzzled. He asks what's going on, and All Might tells him that one for all, it doesn't heal people. So something different is happening to Deku. With Deku basically asking what does he mean, with All Might looking very seriously and saying that he might have had a quirk before getting One for All, which might have been the healing quirk. Well, a healing quirk. But because Deku never really got hurt, or maybe because the quirk wasn't powerful enough to even do anything different, only when One for All basically got mixed with him did the quirk actually start to grow. Deku says that then it's a good thing, right? With All Might saying that no, because it's growing too fast if it's come from that. And if it's not that, that means that something else happened to Deku that gave him that, healing capacity. With Deku then saying that, it might actually be a multitude of things together as well. All Might asking what he means, with Deku then saying that, he'd never healed before, or at least never that fast, but in 3 close succession, Recovery Girl did use her quirk on him, so if he did have a healing quirk, all of those injuries almost at once being healed, if my quirk simply grew like my body and basically grew a lot stronger directly with One for All the moment I got it, it might actually have been boosted by that as well. Basically, telling All Might that a series of events, basically all around the same time, basically forced his quirk to grow at an alarming rate, from being mixed with One for All, then being healed from massive injuries 3 times in the span of a month. More than that, but whatever. And All Might saying that it might be the case because Deku's, while training, even since he got One for All, his body started to grow a lot faster when it comes to strength. If we count Deku the moment he received One for All, because of the 3 times boost. Okay, before I continue that phrase, remember something. When Deku got One for All, in itself the power was boosted when passed to a next user. So it was already stronger than All Might at 100%. Obviously, because his body wasn't prepared for it, it kind of wreaked havoc and didn't seem stronger, just as strong or a bit lower. But it was stronger than All Might's One for All. This is 3 times that amount. With Deku having done the exact same training, but when receiving the powers, basically having the quirk boosted, with his body boosted as well. So that's when the 3 times boost happened. Well, a bit later, because it took a while for the gods to basically choose his rewards. So for a bit, Deku had the quirk normal, had the exact same strength as in the anime and manga. So a normal punch at 100% would have done the same amount of damage. But because it was boosted before Deku could use the quirk for well, at 100% truly, the One for All was boosted, every quirk inside of it were boosted. The Vestige will have a field day when they're going to be conscious, because how the fuck did we get so strong? Well, they're mostly going to ask how Deku was able to get this strong, because he was supposed to be quirkless. But yeah, so basically, even if you think of it like that, yes, his regeneration, because of his unlimited growth skill, well, power, basically forcefully increased the regeneration power by a lot, because in quick successions he got healed twice by Recovery Girl, already pushing that power far by forcing it to adapt to a higher speed, which is the reason why he can heal basically an entire arm being chopped off in 3 weeks normally. He was basically forced to upgrade that. Well, that's after the 3rd time that Recovery Girl basically healed him. Well, 4th, I should say. Since, like, every time she healed him like that, it basically gave a boost to that power. But yeah, so basically they're seeing it in the same way, just that they think it's a quirk. So they have the right mind on what's happening. So All Might then wants to say one more thing, and basically explain a lot earlier about some of the previous users. Basically, he explains that one of them, specifically that he heard about, since he didn't do research already about it completely, but he still had heard about one of the user basically dying because he had a quirk before getting One for All, which might be that his body couldn't handle it. So if that's the same thing, with Deku having a quirk, it could destroy him. There's a fucking dog that's not even on a fucking leash coming straight for me. Yeah, I'm turning back. Yeah, okay, I'm going to take a small detour to not be next to the dog. Not because I don't like dogs, because I'm just going to try and play with it for a while, and I kind of don't want to do that while doing a video, so yeah. Because for some fucking reason, dogs either like me so much that they don't want to let go, or they don't care about me at all and don't even want to get close to me. So, like, I never actually met a dog that didn't like me. And tried to attack me if it wasn't already basically being either bullied by its owner or something like that. So, yeah. But anyway, for Deku and All Might, basically All Might explained that, yeah, the reason why one of the other user basically died, basically way younger than he should have, was because of that, and basically told Deku that if at any point something happened to him, that he should be careful. Obviously that won't happen, and even if it could happen, even if Deku had a quirk that was hidden, now he basically won't get that anyway, since his body would regenerate too fast, and with an unlimited lifespan, it's basically impossible to do that to him. So it literally doesn't matter, though they don't know it. So All Might basically tells him to be careful and to basically look at if anything happens to his body. Obviously later they'll understand that, yeah, they don't need to worry about that. Though because of how long it will be before they can actually see it, yeah, not in this series. But basically he's said it right there. Obviously afterward Deku says that, well, it could literally be that it just activated his quirk really, so it might also not do anything to him. With All Might saying that, yeah, that could be a possibility, since you didn't actually activate. If it wasn't activated, it means you activated your quirk at the same time, meaning that they basically mixed to make a single one, so it could in itself not do anything. Or do like Todoroki, who has 2 quirks, but he was born with those quirks, meaning that it basically didn't overfill his container. So All Might says that, yeah, that's also a possibility, but be careful anyway. Then All Might tells him that he can go, well, back home and start doing training. Deku asks, won't you help me once again? With All Might saying that, well, not this time, because some things are happening. Obviously, All Might was injured as well, but a lot less because of, well, a few things that happened. So, like, Aizawa wasn't hurt as much, first of all. All Might wasn't hurt as much because, well, that time Aizawa was still pretty good shape, so he could help a bit more. So stop Kurogiri from basically opening the portal. So, like, really, a lot of things basically happened just thanks to that. To make, like, everyone except 13 a lot less injured. Poor 13, but yeah. So, he basically told Deku to train on his own, with then Deku saying that Aizawa told him not to train and to rest, with All Might telling him that he'd prefer if he trained, because, yeah, obviously, his body could still be injured, but he needs to learn to control it more. So Deku did some light training to sorry about that, but yeah, basically what he was doing was combat training without using One for All. So instead of actually using One for All to train that, he was just training his body normally to help with that. With actually Ochako calling him during the week to ask him for some help with different things. Basically, she wanted to learn fighting from him a bit, since she heard that, yeah, he was holding back the Nomu a bit and survive one of its punch, when the only other person that was able to go toe-to-toe with it was All Might. So she's thinking that he might actually be the best person for that. Basically, that's the first day of the week where they are supposed to train. Basically, Deku telling her that he won't be able to teach her a lot during that time, with her saying that it's okay as long as she can basically learn a bit. With Deku accepting. So she came over, Deku presented her to Inko, Inko was happy that he finally had a friend, because obviously being bullied by everyone kind of ruined that. But yeah, so over the week, basically, what had happened was that Inko basically accepted for Ochako to stay at their home, for Deku to help her train her martial arts and strength training, as well as maybe train her quirk a bit. He basically brought her to the same beach as All Might brought him. So, kind of doing a funny thing. Basically, yeah, the trash was clean, but meh. He basically told her that what he wants her to do first is train her strength. She asked how, and that with only a week it won't be that much. But he basically tells her that it's less to make her strength increase and more to see where she is. She basically gets told by Deku to not use her quirk for that, since he wanted to see her actual strength. She asks how, with Deku basically just kind of going towards the beach, looking underwater, finding a big pile of trash, since, yeah, obviously there's still some underwater, and basically plunges and brings some back, basically telling her that he wants her to push those around. On the sand it should be a bit easier, and basically to do that today, to see how her endurance is, how her strength is, and blah blah blah. She basically saw him bring it out and asked, and basically just said, "Whoa, your quirk is really strong to take that out." With him saying that he didn't use his quirk. With her asking, "How much can you lift?" With then Deku saying that he could probably lift a few fridge by himself. With her just kind of looking dumbfounded. And that's just 9 months of training? With Deku kind of laughing at it a bit and saying that, well, yeah. And basically telling her that, well, if they train for a long time, she might actually be able to get some strength. So she, for basically the entire, well, until she was exhausted, then she relaxed a bit. They could explain to her different way to use martial arts by showing them. Then putting her back on the, pushing the trash, removing it, basically lifting, jogging, stuff like that. Basically for an entire day to really see where she is, so how good she can, how good her stamina is, how good she is when she rests to get back her stamina, what her strength, speed, and whatever is. Since, yeah, he saw a bit in the entrance exam, but, not entrance exam, but Aizawa's test, but still, he wanted to see for himself in a different way. So, after a bit of that, the next day, he basically told her that he wanted her to try and do the same move as he showed her, and try to learn them. Basically, he does, for basically the 5 next days, so basically they stop 1 day before they have to go back to school, where it's basically just doing that, with him basically letting himself be used as a ragdoll to basically test those things, those moves. And basically she already, yes, it was just 5 days of that, but with Deku basically learning from All Might, and basically learning also on his own, because, obviously Even in the anime, Deku was training on his own, overexerting himself. All Might told him to stop, but Deku didn't. He basically did the same thing in this one, except that during the month where he was training martial arts or combat techniques, he was once again overexerting himself, but by training too much on that and learning way more than what All Might wanted him to learn. So he's pretty good at teaching, at least, to Ochako when it's only one person. So Ochako alone is good. And helps her get, well, kind of far already. So after that happened, the last day, basically he said that he wasn't going to use his quirk and that he wanted her to try and put him on the ground. With her basically being afraid a bit and him saying he won't fight. He's going to move around, but he won't actually try to, well, beat her. So that's how the entire day started, with multiple people over time basically assembling over the beach, looking at a girl basically trying to put Deku down, with him giving encouragement, saying what she does wrong, and trying again. With multiple people basically being impressed that, yeah, she's actually good. With a few heroes actually seeing it. So that was happening. Basically, there was also someone filming and that posted it online later, with Bakugo basically seeing that, as well as a few teachers seeing it. Midnight, in particular, basically just thinking that those two go well together. Aizawa just being pissed that Deku's still training. But then just kind of thinks, yeah, well, he's helping someone else, so I guess it's okay. So, basically, the few people who saw it were, well, like I said, some teachers. Aizawa would be counted in there. There was also a few students. One in particular being Hiroshima, who was just impressed because obviously he knows Deku is pretty strong. He was told then directly by Aizawa to not do too much, and then he just sees a video of him training one of their classmates who was a lot weaker than them. So he's really impressed by Deku's chivalry, as well as basically manliness. So that was happening. The fuck, there's people around there. Yeah. I'm going to take a small detour. Yeah, so basically when they get back to class, the day where they get back, first of all, 2 or 3 people basically just asked Deku if he could train them next time. Deku asking what they're talking about, with one of them showing them the video. With Deku and Ochako basically turning red, because, oh god. Like, at one point there, Ochako saw that some people were there. Deku just told her to ignore them, and that basically the training was the first thing. Just like when a hero is doing his, basically saying it like this, and people hear it in the video. When a hero does his job, he doesn't get distracted by the public. He keeps his mind on the fight. So, right now, you're in a fight. Concentrate. Which was basically just like, yeah, that's how they should do it. Basically, when Aizawa enters, everyone sits down. Then he looks at Deku and tells him, I told you to relax during the week. And what do? You train someone else instead. What am I going to do with you? Bakugo just kind of hearing that, yeah, he's still trained during that time, being angry that well, even he was, if he was training, basically, he would most likely not close the gap that easily, and being angry at that because, well, he was quirkless. But yeah, basically, Deku's reputation went up among many people. Even some people who knew of him and were basically calling him weak before his quirk, basically seeing him train someone else, kind of pushed away the idea that he's weak. Obviously, that was more for people who weren't around him all the time, like Bakugo. But still. So, for the sports festival, basically everything's going to be the same events and everything, so yeah, let's start. Basically, when they entered the arena first time, they basically, well, there's Midnight explaining the rules, then just kind of passing it as a side comment, which a lot of people didn't understand, with Deku and Uchaku understanding directly, basically being, we might have a little couple in the school in the first years. Everyone who basically saw the videos kind of understood in Class 1A. Well, almost everyone in Class 1A actually understood. In Class 1B, a few people understood because they saw the video. And a lot of other people were basically just confused. Aizawa just kind of facepalmed at her comment, but let it pass. And then they tell them to go towards, well, the starting line. So, basically, everything starts to be placed, the countdown starts, and the moment it reaches 0, Todoroki once again freezes the ground. But the moment it's frozen, at the same exact time, well, near exact time, a massive amount of cracks basically appeared all around it, with basically being Deku just jumping off of it, with the impulsion just breaking everything, with everyone basically being released from that, basically angering Shota a bit because all of that was basically rendered useless. Everyone was still running, with this time a lot of differences in the classment, since Ida is going to be a lot further ahead from not being stuck in the ice, with Deku basically being first almost the entire race. Basically, he's the first to get to the robots, and he basically just jumps with a 10% one for all around his body since the start of the run, and basically just smashes the head away. This time not increasing the powers to 20%, so basically didn't break his body and didn't explode the entire upper half of the robot. He just pudged the head away. Then started running again. So, he's running, with others basically arriving at the other obstacles, stuff happening, Bakugo just passing right next to everyone, thinking that he has to be in first place, he has to beat Deku, and basically straining his body by using stronger explosion that he should, to try and go ahead. Todoroki also tries to run faster, basically doesn't stay on the robots for that long. Instead of freezing an entire robot by himself, he basically just freezes a part of it to be able to pass next to it, so he's having to be stopped a lot less long. With both of them basically trying to catch up to Deku because, well, Bakugo doesn't want the quirkless guy to win. And Todoroki is just kind of mad because, well, obviously, At that time, he's still basically just the stuck-up guy who's mad at everyone because of his father and thinks that he should only use his eyes to not use his dad's quirk. So, yeah. When Deku arrives where there are the big hole with ropes to basically go over, he basically just used a bit more power. I just saw... Yeah, no, I think I just... Okay, sorry about that. I think I just saw a star fly by. There was a shooting star! Sorry. Either that or something that basically did light for a bit, going extremely fast above my head without doing any sound. And disappearing like a few seconds after. I don't know what it would be if it's not a shooting star, but yeah, so basically Deku pushes his body to 14% where it starts to hurt but doesn't actually do damage, and basically just jumps across it in a single jump. He could have done it at 10%, but he just wanted to be sure and basically over jumped it way further than he thought he would. Basically just kind of making everyone think, how strong is he? Like, they already saw the robot's head being blown off, but now, basically the energy around him kind of increased and he just jumped across. So, yeah, they were kind of a bit more shocked than it. Sorry about that. But yeah, they were a bit more shocked than anything else. So, Deku keeps running, basically gets to the mine area before Bakugo and Todoroki even arrive to the rope area. Once again, Deku just leaps over it and basically makes it in first place. With after that being Bakugo who arrives before Todoroki, and Todoroki after him. Basically because Bakugo was training a lot more his explosions to go faster, he was basically a lot further ahead. So, giving him the victory. Well, second place. After that, it doesn't actually matter the order. But yeah. Then for the teams, I'm going to do one single little change. If you want to ask what that change is, well, it's quite simple. Deku's not placed on top of people. Every team is the same, but instead of Deku being at the top, he's actually at the bottom. Basically saying that, well, if he needs to, everyone can literally just grab on and he can jump away from anyone. They can literally just stay away from the fight. They don't need to fight. So, why not? Which did kind of just make others think, well, yeah, but we could do it. With Deku just saying that, well, he prefers to choose his fight right, instead of just fighting everyone. So, unless they absolutely have to, he would prefer that they don't try to lose their points. Kind of making the others a bit sad, with Ochako just thinking that, well, she learned to fight and she can't even use it. Deku telling her that she'll be able to use it later. He doesn't know that they're going to have a fight competition, but at the very least, he's just trying to cheer her up. Basically telling her that she's going to have the most important role. When they're going to have to run away, she has to remove the weight from the two others, so that he can actually go at full speed. With her just saying, yeah, but you could probably go at full speed even with our weights. With him just saying, yeah, but just for if. be ready to do it. So everyone's placed and nearly everything happens the same, except that Deku's team basically don't lose any points or don't get any points. But basically all of the same team passes for, well, kind of the same reasons. Though Bakugo was nearly constantly trying to go towards Deku's team, but Deku was way too fast for them, so yeah. Instead of having 3 people on foot and 1 person on top, it was basically 3 people on top and 1 person on foot for most of the time. With many people basically thinking that, yeah, it's a good strategy. He might be strong, but if the others aren't able to keep the points safe, it would be preferable to always try to run away, since they already have a clear victory. As well as a few people who actually saw the Deku training Ochako, thinking that, yeah, but it is removing her chances of showing her actual capacity. Hell, basically someone saying that he trained her to fight, and he's then removing right there her capacity to do it. With someone asking what that means, with not long after, basically Aizawa having heard someone basically almost scream it, and then saying that for an entire week, Deku, well, Izuku Midoriya, was training one of his classmates. So, right now, what he's doing is actually trying to give her a chance to pass to the next stage instead of losing right there. Since obviously he might be strong and she might know how to fight, but they need to have someone who doesn't touch the ground. And since she could be the one with the most trouble actually fighting in that moment, it's best if they don't actually fight and actually give her a chance to go later. Basically calming a few people, because, well, obviously they heard that the other 3 wanted to test their things. In particular, the girl with the zooming eyes. I always forget her name. Which annoys me, because I actually like her as a character. But I keep forgetting her name. But yeah, so basically it also kind of makes nearly everyone else kind of realize that, yeah, it's true, he's the only strong one. And basically makes a lot of people more attracted directly at Deku's team. Kind of having a bad effect for everyone who would say. But because of that, they could also test a bit of their things. And basically, because of people trying to get their points, being a lot more present at that moment, well, the others were able to help a bit. So, yeah, it wasn't all bad. They were able to show a bit of their stuff. Then, in the next stage, basically when they announced that it's a fighting competition one-on-one, Ochako is actually pretty happy. So, yeah. Every fight is basically at the same groups. Since, obviously, one of the groups, well, except Shinso, basically all of his group kind of decided to leave because they don't remember anything. With Ojiro telling Deku that, the Shinso guy, don't talk to him. After I said some words to him, I just forgot everything. It was just blank, so basically people got in the arena. Well, Deku and Shinso got in the arena, and Shinso basically started talking. Basically the same thing happened with Deku talking, so responding, and getting entranced. Shinso told him to walk off the arena, with people seeing him do that. Ochako was really kind of, distressed because, wait, he can't do that. He's the strongest one. He needs to win. Said she wants to win, but she also know that Deku really wanted to be a hero. And all his life being quirkless, and now he can be one. So, obviously, she's thinking that he has to do something. Basically, nearly everyone just seeing that and thinking, what is he doing? Why doesn't he fight? Why is he walking away? With Deku in his mind doing the same thing, thinking. Until the same thing happened with the vision of the previous users. And basically, this time when his fingers were starting to light up, something else happened. Black lightning started to move around his body, around his hand. And when he released it, basically, black whips basically moved around the entire arena almost, pushing Shinso out and snapping Deku back in place. Basically destroying half of the arena at the same time, but basically just people seeing that. First of all, with All Might realizing way sooner that he has the quirk of old users. So, yeah. For nearly everyone who knew about Deku's healing after that, a third quirk, which they don't know, he's actually going to have 7 quirk and a few powers which the healing takes part of. So yeah, basically Deku was angry at himself from basically falling into the trap, and even after Ojiro told him to not talk, he basically did. And Shinso basically just kind of not understanding anything before passing out. Deku's hand wasn't broken, but his clothes did have burn-like marks on them. Basically from the activation of Black Whip, since in the manga or the anime, I don't remember which one, when he activated it for the first time in his sleep, it did leave burn mark on his sheets. So that means it can burn, or at least the first time it did. So yeah, that happened before Deku nearly passed out as well from basically overexerting a huge amount of energy. With people basically just asking themselves, what the fuck did he do? So they basically started repairing the stage, took Deku and Shinso to the infirmary because, Shinso literally got a hit from a huge blast of wind, first of all. And second of all, one of the whip literally, whipped him. So just for if. When Deku woke up, he was literally fine. He had just passed out. So he sees Shinso, who's also awake, and basically just kind of telling Shinso, asking if he's okay, with him saying that it must be nice having a quirk since birth, or that is actually useful. With Deku looking at him and basically just telling him that no, he didn't. Shinso looking at him like, the fuck are you talking about? With Deku then saying that, basically the same lie he told his class, that he didn't have his quirk until a month before school started. Shinso asking what he meant by that, and then explaining in truth that he was basically bullied until he started training. I have to pause for a second. Oh god. Okay, but yeah, basically telling him about how he was intimidated and bullied because he was quirkless by kids and adults alike for literally his entire life. Shinso basically just thinking, wait, what? And Deku then explaining about the training he did, cleaning an entire beach, then basically training for an entire month in martial arts, in fighting capacity, before actually feeling his quirk for the first time at one point when he decided to try and throw a punch, with his quirk activating in his entire arm and nearly blowing it off. And so basically just thinking, wait, your quirk was that powerful the moment it awakened? Then he asked Deku, so the black whips, how often do you use them? With Deku not remembering those, and asking, what do you mean black whips? With Shinso basically telling him that, when he was under his mind control, Deku, whose hand started to light up, and suddenly a massive amount of black tendrils basically got out. One of them hitting straight on the head, on the chest. Not on the head, he would have lost it. Literally. But yeah, basically telling him that you did that. With Deku then saying that in the USJ, there was something else that happened. His arm got blown off, and they discovered he had a healing quirk. But Shinso just looking at him like, wait, you have 3 quirks? With Deku literally thinking, I don't know. And in his head just thinking, I have to talk to All Might about this. Basically, Recovery Girl entered, saw that Deku was awake, and told him that if he's okay, he can go back. He might actually be able to keep being in the competitions. With him going, obviously. Telling Shinso that he always wanted to be a hero. And even being quirkless, he didn't stop hoping for it. So even if people call his quirk evil, he doesn't have to think of it like that. And basically leaves, leaving Shinso there to think alone. Basically, he got back to the arena just in time to see Bakugo fighting against Ochako. Basically, the fight is kind of the exact same, except with Ochako doing a lot better this time. Basically, kind of the same commentary from some of the heroes saying that he's just evil right there, he's not letting her lose. With Deku looking at it and actually just screaming out loud to those heroes, are you serious? Aren't you looking at the same fight as me? With multiple people just looking at him, even Aizawa, with him saying that Bakugo's literally giving her a chance to show what she has. That he's not going all out because he's actually letting her show what she can do. Then just saying that he trained her for a while, and right now he's able to see her fight against someone else than him. Even if it's not the intent that he has to let him see that fight, he still lets her do what she can. Basically before Aizawa is able to take the mic and tell that. Then after Aizawa basically saying that he's right and to just look at the fight. He's not doing that to be mean. In fact, the only person he would do that against to be mean would be the kid who just talked. Basically saying that, hell, he didn't have a quirk until a month before school. Kind of just saying it out loud without thinking, making a few people just realize that he did all that in a month to train to that point. With Aizawa just saying it, that he literally worked harder than anyone. He was bullied nearly all his life exactly because he didn't have a quirk. For 10 months of gruesome training, he trained until one day he nearly blew off his arm because of the power he had. It was the first time it awakened. In fact, basically then talking about the USJ, saying that without him being there and literally ripping his arm off to fight one of the main villains, a lot of people could have died. In simply 1 month after getting his quirk, he trained himself so hard to be able to control it. And yet, right now, well, 1 week before before this sports festival, he didn't train himself. He trained her. He helped her get stronger. He helped her get better. He made sure that she could actually fight people and most likely be a hero. Basically telling them that right now, Deku is the one who trained her, and Bakugo is the one letting her show what she has. Since, yes, Deku's still mean against Deku being a lot further in, but against everyone else, he's still the same Bakugo. So, right there, he's basically letting her show what she has. With a few people kind of realizing that they were really not thinking correctly and just looking at the fight in a standard way. Like, oh yeah, two people on the street just fighting. That's how they were looking at it. Not as two people who are trying to show what they have. Basically reflecting on their actions for a while. Obviously, Bakugo won. Most of the other fights were exactly the same. Until Deku against Shoto. Where Deku was basically just kind of doing the same thing as Bakugo and allowing Shoto to show what he had. But instead of being to actually show everyone that, oh yeah, Shoto's awesome as well, he was doing it because he wanted to see more of Todoroki's other quirk. But he wasn't showing it off. And at one point, he literally just said it. Look, I'm half-assing this. You do realize that if I wanted to, I could end you instantly, right? Then just said, your father asked me to throw the fight for you. Or at least to try and help you show your fire quirk. With basically a few people asking themselves what he's talking about. With then Deku saying that he doesn't even care about that though. What he wants to see is what he can do. And that he doesn't care whose quirk it is. Who is against him. If someone has potential, he wants to see it. He wants to help people. He wants to be a hero. And that what he's doing right now is just shooting himself in the foot. Making it impossible for him to reach new heights. Shoto trying to say that he'll never use his father's quirk because of all that he did, and blah blah blah, with Deku finally moving from where he started. Like, he never took a step before that. He was just pushing the ice away, and pushing Shoto away. But in that moment, he sped up towards him, and prepared a punch, and just before actually launching it, basically told him that whoever you got the quirk from, you need to show that it's not their quirk, it's your quirk. It's your power. It's you who trains it. Show what you can do. Basically, that's while he's getting closer. Basically running really nowhere as fast as he could run. And he's basically just breaking the ice that Shoto's launching at him. And basically he finished talking right before launching the punch. With Shoto finally using his fire. Basically just thinking, yeah, no, I have to do this. I don't want to lose. And basically nearly blowing Deku's face off. People just reacting really badly, with then seeing like a huge amount of the flame just going straight up, Deku punching up and making a blast of air, telling Shoto that he finally showed his fire side before pushing him out of the arena. People saw his side being literally burned off almost, with people asking if he's okay, with Aizawa just saying that, yeah, he's going to be fine. A few people not understanding why, until he said that, yeah, no, just like the black whip from earlier, remember, his arm was ripped off. Can you see something wrong with that sentence while looking at him? With them seeing an arm still there, and right now, burn mark on the other side. Basically saying that his body can regenerate. And they only found out when he was in a crisis. So basically, just like the black whips, when he actually needed something, it kind of popped off. With someone asking how many quirks he has. With Deku answering that one, saying that he doesn't know. They just seem to pop off now. Nearly 2 months ago, his first quirk showed up, almost blowing his arm off. Then 2 weeks ago, his second one appeared when he actually got his arm ripped off. And just earlier today, when he was in danger, he actually used something new, once again. Someone asking him, how the hell do you have so many powers? With him saying that, well, his powers seem to be energy-based, so it might just be that, the energy being used in different ways. With a few people accepting that answer. Bakugo not liking it though, hearing that, but basically holding off, since he knows he can be thrown out if he doesn't. Though he knows that they're going to meet in the last fight, so obviously he's going to win that. And now we have the last fight with Bakugo fighting Deku. Before the fight even started, Deku literally told Bakugo, and literally everyone heard it, I'm going to break my arm right here. Basically after being healed by Recovery Girl for his burn marks. Everyone heard that and just thought, wait, what? Aizawa screamed at Deku to not break his arm, with Deku saying he won't actually rip it off this time. He's just going to go at 20%. With Aizawa remembering that, oh yeah, at 20%, yeah, his arm is damaged, but he can still move around. So he basically says, okay, I guess that's okay. With Bakugo just kind of being mad at this, with then Deku telling him that he has 10 seconds to defeat him before he throws his punch. When the fight starts, Deku basically charges his arm. Bakugo starting to run, Deku just moving around around him, basically just not taking hits. Bakugo getting close quite a bit though, from Deku really not going all out, since he literally has all his energy just around his arm. Basically, some people started counting. 3, 2, Bakugo getting madder and madder. 1! Bakugo screaming and sending the biggest explosion he can, pushing Deku away a bit, but not far enough. 0! The massive explosion is going, and suddenly, boom, it's pushed the other side. Pushing Bakugo out of bounds, and everyone just kind of looking at the wall being crumpled. Though they saw that Bakugo didn't actually reach the wall, with Deku basically holding his arm while he's over the edge, and just dropping him. Basically, he threw the punch, pushed Bakugo away, activated 14% in his legs, to basically put at his max amount that he can right there. Jump straight towards Bakugo after he was literally knocked out. Grabbed his arm so that he wouldn't be thrown straight out of the ring, right into the wall, and basically just dropped him on the floor after. With people seeing that and being like, what the fuck? Because obviously that was really strong. But yeah, so I'm going to end it off here, right after Bakugo being defeated easily by Deku. Hope you liked it, leave a like if you did. And yeah, Natsu out.